I felt very uncomfortable in that experience. People knew I was an artist. I was starting an art collective, the Trained Eye Art Center, and I had this job that paid well and I enjoyed it, and it was, you know, it encapsulated my skill set, and then the rug was essentially pulled out from underneath me. I had to very quickly decide, you know, do I try to continue this art life, or do I find that desk job and stay nearby? As a child, I started developing my art because of my parents. You know, my mom was really interested in illustration drawing. My dad had a little bit of a background in theater, but neither one of them professionally were artists. And then, you know, growing up, I kind of started in sketch art. I got into comic books quite a bit in my teenage years and really tried to perfect anatomy or unrealistic anatomy, you know, hyper anatomy. Started playing with that, doing caricatures of friends and, you know, expanding certain features of people and really kind of getting into that. Started getting into theater, started getting into singing a lot more, and then because of that, got into the Jacobs School of Music as a vocal performer and did that for 2 years. I was in Straight No Chaser, vocal jazz ensemble, soul review, and singing Hoosiers, and started learning more about stagecraft, you know, set building, prop building, you know, facial prosthetics, which brought me into mold making, and it really kind of took me back into fine arts, but I wasn't doing illustration so much. I was really starting to get into more of the sculptural, three-dimensional world. And then I was really lucky to get an internship at a foundry out in Spencer, and it was a small foundry, but we did custom pieces for artists all over the world, and that's really was my shift from, you know, one type of artist into another type. So, you know, I was working at the foundry for 8 years, was the manager of the foundry, was handling a lot, and then the owner of the foundry essentially wanted to retire. So, you know, this wonderful job that I had for 8 to 10 years stopped, and I had to move out to California to continue this artistic goal. And where the foundry I had in Spencer was great and we could do some smaller iterations locally, this other foundry was absolutely massive. They were doing multi-story, you know, sculpture installations, and it ended up not working out. The management position hadn't opened up officially yet, so they ended up putting me as kind of back into that grunt workforce. So I was a welder again and was doing metal chasing and really on the floor working those sculpture pieces again. And after, I don't know, like 6 to 8 months of kind of waiting for this management position to open up, I decided it was probably best if I come back to Bloomington, be closer to family. I was really missing on the friends and people that I had here and felt very isolated out in San Francisco. So moved back here and started up the Artisan Alley. How I would describe Artisan Alley is a community arts cooperative that provides resources and support to anybody that has an interest in growing their art, their business, or developing entrepreneurial skill sets. And essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide the environment and tools that you need to develop your own sense of expression. I think the thing that brings people in was something it took me a while to figure out. Originally I thought it was the studio spaces or the lighting or, you know, something very specific as far as like a tech, but as I've gotten more and more into it, I think what actually attracts people into the space is that we're doing something very different. You know, when you walk in the doors, it's not immediately a retail space or an office space or something like that. It's like, oh, there's all these different types of styles in this one space. There's not one overarching branding, but also I think the community, the idea that you can come to a place and talk with other artists and watch other artists and see what they're doing and that might inspire you with what you're doing. And the ability to collaborate and share ideas and dreams and goals. I think other artisans should be a part of Artisan Alley because we have a track record of growing. We have worked with dozens, if not hundreds at this point, of artists or projects or events that we've been able to help or further in some way. And we're continuing our growth. We're, buying new supplies. We're trying to appeal to all the different varieties of arts. I think we're going to be able to expand for a while. We're looking into building of our own and expanding into the mall with further retail space and performance space. And I'm just, I'm excited to bring in new talent because ultimately, when you've got a community around you of hyper-talented people, there's nothing you can't do. To our donors, I would say if you're wanting to contribute to the community in a meaningful way and have an impact on individual lives, then contributing and supporting Artisan Alley is a great way to do that, because the money is going to be utilized on children's programs and growing our equipment and growing our spaces, and ultimately those are the things that people are wanting to develop their own message or developing their own business. So give us a chance. We're new, but we're growing very quickly, and we've got the support of a lot of other organizations. We have a proven track record of helping other community groups, and it's been our goal from the beginning to make a positive change in Bloomington.